Hey guys, this is Mitch with FinePoint CGI, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to create your own Android module inside of Godot. So we're going to go through the process of creating an Android module. We're going to go through the process of hooking that module up inside of Godot, and we're going to talk about how to return data from your module and how to emit signals from your module and return data as well. So that's what I have in store for you guys today. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go ahead and download Android Studio if you don't already have it installed. Now I have a few videos discussing Android Studio and a few videos talking about how to export custom exports inside of Godot. So make sure that you go through those videos before you do this video, because you're going to need a lot of the tips and tricks that are inside of those videos, including why you'd want to use Android Studio and why you, or at least, and how to hook up all of your, all of the Android functions such as ADB and, the other modules that are out there for Android development. Now, the next thing that you're going to need is you're going to need to pull down the Godot AAR add-on for developing modules. So if you scroll all the way down here, you'll see there's an AAR library for Android plugins. Now you can either pull this one down or you can pull down this one, which is a mono C# version. Both work well. I'm going to pull down this one just because it's the standard and I'm using GDScript, so it just works out. But if you are using the AAR module with mono, then go ahead and pull this one down instead. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up Android Studio. Now, in this case, it'll probably pop up with a previous program. Yeah, you can see it's opening up with AdMob. That's okay. If you guys haven't seen my AdMob tutorial, that's where this one actually shows up, and we have a conversation about how to open up an APK inside of your project. But if we go here, we click on File, New Project. It's going to pop up, and we're going to say No Activity, because we don't need anything special to do our development. We're just doing a no activity project, and we'll just call it, I don't know, my application. That seems fine, because we're not really going to use any of this. This stuff doesn't matter. This is literally just creating a new project for the sake of creating a new project. So we're going to go ahead and do that. You'll see it'll pop up with a new project, and it's going to go ahead and download a boatload of data. So you'll see here it's going to start pulling down all that data. So I'll get with you guys once this is done pulling down all that data. All right, so now that it's done downloading all of the little things that it needs to do your Gradle building, which if you don't know, Gradle is basically the building system that Android uses to build your modules. So it's the thing that creates all the connections and things like that that's going to go ahead and create your AAR module. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit File, New Module. Okay, we'll click on that, and then we're going to click Android Library. We'll click Next, and then we're going to call this Hello World. One of the biggest classic things to learn is the Hello World, and we're going to make this Java because I'm old and I like Java better than Colton. And bytecode level, don't worry about that. Minimum SDK, we're not using anything special, so we can go ahead and just use the Jelly Bean SDK, and we'll hit finish, and you'll see that it's going to be downloading and loading more stuff. So you'll see that we have our beautiful little module right here. Now what we're also going to need to do is we're going to need to pull down the Godot bridge for your Android module. Now we already pulled that down. That was this little AAR library for plugins. So what we'll do is we will reopen up our project, and then we will hit File, New Module, and then scroll down, Import jar AAR package. So we'll double click that, and we need to point it to our location. So if we click on that little folder icon and then go find where we did it, which in my case it's out in my downloads folder. So we will hit that, hit OK. You'll see that it's named it for us. Let's go ahead and copy that name. You don't have to copy that name, but I would copy it and then hit finish. So now you're going to see it's going to load that in. So you'll see it right here. Now the next major step that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to come down here to your Gradle scripts. You're going to need to come over to your application Hello World. Don't worry about your project. Like I said, that is not needed. We just had to add that so we could make a project. And we double click on this. You'll see that we have this really interesting build.gradle. Now, what this file does is it tells the Gradle build system what is needed to run your project. So there's a lot of really important stuff here, like your compile SDK version, your build tools version, what your minimum SDK version is. Now, this is a huge number because if, for instance, you want to do like AdMob support, right? You want to build a plugin that does AdMob, you would need to make sure that your minimum SDK version matches what the minimum SDK version is of the things you're trying to implement. And that, by extension, means Godot is going to need to match that minimum SDK version as well. And if you guys want a tutorial on that, let me know, and I'll be sure to make a tutorial on what the minimum SDK version is and why you want to use it and things like that. So if we scroll down, you'll see a little dependencies section here. Now, this is the dependencies of whatever your project needs to have, right? So like in this case, you need to have Android X app comp, which is the application general. It's basically your Android libraries. Same thing with like material library. This is a library that's used to do material objects. The JUnit, which is for unit testing. This one's also for unit testing, and so is this one. Actually, all three of these are unit testing. So what we're going to do is we're going to implement this. Implementation, and we'll get rid of that. Project, because we want to pull a project in. We don't want to pull in a library. We want to pull in a project, right? And then we will say parentheses, colon, and then we're going to paste the name in there. So that way it has our Godot library. Now, if you didn't copy it, you can actually pull it from right here. If you open up the build Gradle for your library, you can just pull it from right here because we named it the same as our file. So we're going to come down here, put that in here, and now comes a very important part. We're going to build it. And the reason why you want to make your project is because if you don't make your project, then your compiler and your IDE is not going to make the links that it needs to do to allow you to continue. So let's go ahead and make the project. So you'll see this little Gradle build is running, and we're just going to let it kind of do its thing. And it's going to take a few seconds. It could take upwards of a minute or two. So I'll jump back in here once it is done. All right, so now you will see that we actually have this added here, which is a nice little generated build config. This is how the IDE makes its links and knows what to talk to. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our Java, and you'll see right here we have example home, or example hello world, Android test. These are stuff that's just for unit testing. Don't worry about that, but it is always good to unit test your code. You want to make sure that your stuff comes back the way that you expect it to come back. Now, in this case, I'm not going to run through all that, but it's just something to keep in mind that unit testing your code is extremely important when you're making large projects. Now, if you right click here, click new, and then click Java class, we're going to call this Hello World, because we're just making a little Hello World project. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say this needs to extend, and we're going to say org dot. Actually, I don't think we need to do org. I think we can just get away with Godot plugin, and that'll automatically load all of that in. So there you go. So now we've got this little cool thing that says, hey, this extends Godot plugin. Simple enough, right? But you can see we got this really crazy little underline here. And what it's saying, if we hover over it, it says, hey, this must be declared abstract or implement the abstract method get plugin name in Godot plugin. Well, okay, let's go ahead and implement it, right? It's saying, hey, you need to implement this method or else you can't extend the Godot plugin. So let's go ahead and implement that. You'll see it says, hey, here's the methods to implement. So we just need to implement the one. So let's go ahead and implement it. And then, well, it looks like we got another little red underline here. So it says, hey, you don't have a default constructor. You need to create a default constructor. So let's create one. So you can see here, now it just created a constructor for us. It did all that by itself, which is good news. What is this? Well, get plugin name is the plugin name for Godot. So when you are trying to reference that plugin in code, you need to make sure that the name is something that is readable and understandable by Godot. And what I mean by that is, for instance, if you name it, you know, Hello John, right? Or Hello Mitch, right? It'll require you to say, does the singleton Mitch exist inside of Godot, right? So this is kind of how you name your singleton. So what we're going to do is we're just going to return, quote, hello world. Simple enough. Oh, no space. We shouldn't have spaces. So let's go ahead and save that. So what we just did was we created a really simple little plugin. So now, right, you would be able to load this inside of Godot. Now, it wouldn't do anything, but you can load it inside of Godot. Some of the things that the documentation doesn't talk about, and neither does the extension here. They don't enforce you having some of these functions in here. You know, if you don't have them, you can't run the project. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a get plugin methods here. So we'll do a public, and we're going to do a list of string, and we are going to say get plugin methods. All right. And you'll see suddenly it's going to yell at you, say, hey, you can't resolve this. So let's go ahead and import that class. And what this will do is it will give Godot the ability, we'll say non-null, because you want it to be not null and you want it to be an override, right? Because you want to override the base class Godot plugin. So make sure that I spelled it correctly because my spelling is horrendously bad. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, I want to return a array, A-R-A-Y-S, dot, as list, and we are going to say whatever we want to return. Now, what this is it's for your plugin's methods, but we don't have any methods, so let's go ahead and create one. So public string, let's say it's going to return a string, call it hello, and we're going to say that, and let's say we'll return, quote, hello world. So now we got a function here, right, that returns hello world. Simple enough, right? And it looks like required type is string provided, capital S. You can see here we have this little string hello, but we need to tell Godot that it has a function that it can run. So, because if we were to have, 30 functions in here, we don't necessarily want all of those exposed to Godot. So you need to tell Godot what functions it can use. So you can see here, that's what this little function here is for. So what we're going to do is we're going to say hello. And now this little bit of code, or I guess this little function here, is going to be exposed using this little bit of code. What we're going to do is we're going to save, and we are going to click the little build icon, which is up here. If you don't know, that's where it's at. So you just click that and it'll build it. So now you can see it says, hey, the Gradle build is finished. And it says, hey, it dropped it out into my Android Studio project. So let's go ahead and go out that way. And you will see that I have a Hello World project here. So if I go inside of here and I go into build and outputs, AAR, there's my AAR file. So now we have our AAR file, right? That's our Android library. AAR is Android Archive something. They call it an Android Archive library, but R. I don't know why they have the R there. Maybe someone can tell me in the comments, but they call it AAR, so I just call it AAR. So what we need to do is we need to create a Godot gdap file. And what a gdap file is it's a file that is used to, and I'll put this in here so you can see. What I'm doing is I'm just doing a code dot so that Visual Studio Code opens up in this location. What it does is it tells Godot what AAR file it's looking for. And it gives it lots of different information. And I'll go through some of the information for you. So what we'll do is we'll create a new file. We will call it hello world.gdap. Whoops, no caps, gdap. And you will see that we have ourselves a little gdap file. So what we'll do is we'll say open little brace, close brace, and config, enter. I like to put 2 enters. Name is equal to quote hello world unquote binary underscore type is equal to quote local binary is equal to quote hello world dash debug dot AAR. And now you have some options here, okay? And I'm not going to go through the whole process here, but you have some options here where you could say like dependencies. And I'll just go ahead and post in some of the commented code here from a different AAR here. Whoops. If you paste this in, you can see here, you can have what's called dependencies. So you can say, hey, I require this AAR file also to exist. So for instance, if you're using the AddMob plugin and you wanted to make a custom function for that AddMob plugin, you can say, hey, I require the AddMob plugin for my stuff to operate. Or you can say, hey, I require these remote plugins. So you could actually say, hey, I need to use SQLite, but I don't want to bundle it locally with my project. Just go out and download a specific version. Or you can actually say, I need a custom Maven repo so that all of my plugins come from a specific repo. For instance, if you're running a company, this is a really good option. In this case, we don't need any of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all of that. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. So now for the fun part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Godot. And I'm going to click New Project. And I'm going to say Android module tutorial. I think that's fair. It'll work. So we'll hit create now, and I'm gonna make this the right size for you guys so it's not completely blown out of proportion here. There we are. And what I'm gonna do is I'll create a 2D scene. I will add in a child node and we'll say a button. All right. So I'm just gonna throw a button, I don't know, somewhere here. And the reason why is because we're going to need to call that code. So let's just get that out of the way. So it's just done. And then we need to set this up to be able to load and do custom Android exports. So let's go project, install Android build template. And if you haven't already seen my tutorial on doing all of this, go ahead and check it out. I'll link it in the description or up in the doobly-doo around here at this point. And, just check it out. So now, what we need to do is we need to go to export, add Android, make sure that we have that set up. Use custom build needs to be on. And I think that's it for right now. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to right click our RES and open in File Manager. That's going to open up our Android module tutorial folder, and we will go to Android, plugins. You'll see that the folder is empty. So now we need to go and copy our AAR file and our gdap file into our plugins directory. So that will allow us to enable it and run that plugin. So now you'll see we have an Android plugins directory, which is exciting. So if you've gotten this far, good job, guys. I know it's been pretty quick, but it's going through this is you know, a lot. So if you go to projects, export, you scroll down until you can find your little plugin, or scroll up. Maybe it's scroll up in this case. There it is. You can see my plugin, Hello World. Hit on and hit close. So now what we need to do is we need to code it so that we can access our plugin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, attach a script. We'll call this Hello World Test, because I mean, we might as well. And we'll click on our button, hit node, on button up, go to our node 2D, you'll see right here. And we're gonna say, hey, print first, you know, hey, we made it here. Just to see if the code's working, we wanna make sure that's working. And then if our engine dot has singleton, has underscore quote hello world. So hey, if you have the singleton hello world, and what all this means is, hey, you're querying the game engine. Hey, do you have the singleton? You know, like, you could try to load the singleton without checking if you have it. But if you're playing it on a non-Android device and you don't have that plugin available to you because you're not running on Android, then your entire application's going to crash on you. So it's a good idea to just say, hey, does this exist? And if it does, then let's go ahead and continue through our code. So what we'll say is, hey, print we got here, exclamation point. That's me trying to debug to make sure that our code operates, right? If I say, hey, if I see, hey, we made it here, and hey, we got here, then we're good, right? Then we know that, hey, we've got the singleton and our button up function is working. And it should work, but just in case, you know, we want to make sure. So var will say, I don't know, hello world is equal to engine dot get singleton, and we want to grab that hello world singleton. All right, now that we have that, we can say world dot, whoops, actually we don't need world dot, we need to do var s is equal to world dot hello. Because it's a function. And actually, we're not doing world, we're doing hello world. My apologies. Hello world dot hello. And then we need to do print s, like that. So now if I save this scene as hello world test, you'll see that if I hit play on this scene, hey, we made it here. But it didn't actually fire our singleton, right? It didn't actually run our singleton. And the reason why, no matter how many times I press this, it's not going to do what we want it to do, right? And the reason why is because we need to do it on Android itself. We actually need to put it out and install it on our Android device. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug in my Android device, and I'm going to allow all of my USB fingerprinting and stuff like that. And let me, there we go. So now you're gonna see right here, there's a little icon. See this little icon? And that little icon will allow me to install it on my Android device. Now we're gonna run into some problems because once we install it on our Android device, we're not gonna be able to see if our plugin worked. It doesn't come into the output. We're going to need to use something called ADB to look at it. Now, like I said, if you haven't checked out my other tutorials, make sure you check them out because, like I said, I go through all of this process for you. So what we're going to do is we will click select device. No main scene has been selected, so we need to select one. So let's go ahead and select Hello World. And now you're going to see here, it's going to go ahead and download and run all of our stuff that we need to build our own project here. And what I'm going to do in the meantime, while that's doing that, is I'm going to say ADB Log Cat. And you'll see that I've ran into a common problem here where ADB is not recognized as an internal or external command. And what that means is that we haven't pointed our ADB in our path. So we need to actually point our path, I guess you could say, so our command prompt to the ADB system. So what we're going to do is we'll open up a browser here, and actually I'm going to want to go with this one, and we will go to C users me app data local Android SDK platform tools, and you'll see there's ADB right there. So what you're going to want to do is you'll want to copy this, open up start menu, and type envir for edit environment system environment variables. So we'll bring up our system properties here, and we will go environment variables, and we will say, hey, let's go path edit. And you'll see here's a bunch of our path stuff. I kind of went over this with our EMSDK section. So what we'll do is we'll say, hey, I need a new path, and we will paste our platform tools. Hit OK, hit OK, hit OK. And then what we're going to do is no matter where we go, so if I go to my desktop and I go CMD, you will see that if I type ADB, you'll see that we have our ADB information. So now we can go ADB Log Cat, and you'll notice that suddenly our stuff goes crazy, and that's because we're getting every log in the project. So you can see here, I just opened up the project, and you can see how it's freaking out after it saved all that data to our project. So if I hit the button, you'll see that we got, hey, we made it here. See that? Right here. But you notice that we didn't get we got here, which means our engine does not have that singleton, which is the reason why I have a hey, we made it here, so that we can determine that the button did work and that we didn't get here, right? So now the question is why? So let's go ahead and take a look. So let's take a look at our project, export settings. We have hello world enabled, so that's a good sign. So that's our first problem solved. So that one's good. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our hello world gdap. And you see hello world, and that's all good. That's good. And that's good, right? It's pointed to the correct debug AAR file, if I remember correctly. Let me go check real quick. Yep, hello-world AAR. Yep, that's correct. As long as my spelling's correct. No, I'm second guessing myself. Yep, that looks right. All right, so now it must be something in our Android project. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I have get plugin name is hello world, so that should be correct. And it is returning our hello world project. I believe I found the issue. So it looks like something that I forgot to explain was in the Android manifest on your project. So if you actually come to your project and go to manifests, Android manifest, you'll see that there's a lot of information here, and we actually need to tell it specifically what the code is behind the manifest, if that makes sense. So we need to say, hey, like, this is a plugin, and this is version 1, and it's a specific thing for Android as like a singleton. So what we're gonna do is we will hit open application, and we're gonna open metadata, enter Android name, and we're gonna say org dot Godot engine dot plugin dot version 1 dot hello. world. Oh, with capital H. My apologies. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say Android value, and we're going to say com.example.hello world dot hello world. So, and then we will close our little bracket here. So what does this do? Okay, so what this does is it says, hey, Godot is going to look in org Godot engine plugin for all of its plugins, right? And it needs to know what this links up to, what function this links up to. So if you look at this, I have here saying, hey, this little thing here is going to link up to this class. I guess it's a class, not a function. My apologies, but it's what class it links up to. So you use this specifically to say, hey, when I load in the singleton, I want to expose this class to the Godot engine, if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, leave a comment and I'll explain it more, but basically that's how it works. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this. We're going to click the build icon and you'll see Gradle build has finished. And if you don't know where this is, the event log is located right here. So just to let you know, it is right here. All right, so now we'll open up our AAR file here again. We're going to copy it. And if you remember, you just go to your project's location, hello world. In my case, hello world, but whatever your project, your plugin's called. And then build, outputs, AAR, and then we will copy these two. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into our plugins directory inside of the Android module tutorial, Android plugins, and we are going to paste, replace. Then let's go ahead and re-export this out and let's see if that worked. Because to be honest with you, I am not 100% sure if this was the issue, but we'll find out and we'll see how it goes. So let's re-plug in my phone. And you'll see that it'll pop up right here. So we're going to hit play. And I'm not really going to be just showing my display because it's just me hitting a button. So it's nothing too exciting on my end. But, you know, just showing you, yes, I am in fact hitting a button. And then we'll say ADB Log Cat. So you'll see that it's going to go crazy on us for a second. And it'll go crazy on us in one more second as soon as it loads in the project. All right, so now that it's opened our project, let's go ahead and click on the little button. And you will see, if I cancel this with Control C or Control X, whichever one I need to do. All right, you'll see here that we have, hey, we made it here. We got here. Hello world. So what is that doing? Hey, we made it here. We got here. It ran, grabbed this, ran the hello world and printed S. So what it did was it came all the way out to my application here and it ran and returned hello world from, or I guess from here, from my hello function. It ran this, came here, and then printed that function or that hello world. So that's how we actually got it to work. So yay, congratulations. You know, if you've made it this far, good job. You know, it's doing this is kind of a pain in the butt. So, all right. Now, but what if we want to do something a little bit more devious, a little bit more exciting, right? So what if we wanted to do something like emitting a signal? And if you don't know what signals are, they're basically ways to run code inside of Godot. So what we're going to do is we'll go back to our Android Studio, and we got a little bit more boilerplate code to get going to get this to work, but we'll get it working. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another function, call it public, we'll say void. We don't really want it to return anything. And we'll say send signal. Single. Oh my goodness, I can't spell. Send signal. All right. And what this is going to do is it's going to emit a signal. Okay. So we'll say emit signal, and we will say quote. Let's name it. So let's just name it, I don't know, let's name it hello. And then we're going to say comma, and now we can give it an object of argument. So it could be anything you want it to be, anything in the world. In this case, I'm going to tell it to emit a hello, this worked, exclamation point. All right. Now, this by itself is not going to work. Okay, we need to first register it. So comma, quote, send signal. All right, so now this will hook up with this. And also, we need to register the signal. We can't just up and go, hey, signal, right? It doesn't work that way. So we need to actually emit that signal. Or we need to tell Godot that that signal can be emitted. You know what I mean? So what we're going to do is we're going to say public set signal information. And you see it just did a bunch of crap. So let's go back real quick. Public set. And you'll see here, this is a pre-built module that Godot's plugin allows us to use to send signals and to actually create and show what signals that our project can have. So if we hit tab, bam, it just built it all for us, which is fantastic. It saves so much time. So we don't want this return, so we'll get rid of that. And we'll say set open and then signal SIG info space signals is equal to new array set. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to type signal dot add a new SIG signal information, and we're going to say quote whatever our signal name is going to be. So in this case, since we're already emitting it up here, right, this section here, we're going to just take that and go hello because we want to name it. And now we need to tell it what it can accept. So, and it can accept anything you want it to accept. Like you could say, you know, I want to accept Faygo. If you don't know what Faygo is, it's a soda, or like a Coca-Cola, right? You could just say, I want it to accept that object, right? But in this case, I'm going to say string dot class. And you have to specifically call out the class, because if you don't, you're referring to the object, not the class. So you always just say whatever it is dot class. It'll save you some trouble later. All right, now we want to return that and then return signals. All right, so what that's going to do is that's going to set us up to be able to emit signals inside of our Godot project. So we're going to build it. So you'll see it's going to Gradle build. I am going to reopen up that AAR location. I'm going to copy this, and you'll see here it says 4 p.m., which is my time. So that works perfect. And then we'll go to plugins and we will go ahead and paste it. So now I've replaced it. If we go over here, now we need to tell Godot that it can read those signals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, if the engine has singleton hello world, right? When they click this thing, go ahead and run the hello world, right? And print S. So let's do a little bit of restructuring here. Let's go ahead and go up here and go if, actually, let me just do this. Let's do a little bit of refactoring. Let's make it a little bit better. So we'll just copy this, come up here, paste it, and let's do var hello world. Yep, that'll work. And we'll actually get rid of that and instead do it up here, var hello world, right? And I like to do capitals for this, hello world. So we'll replace this with a capital H and we'll get rid of that. And what that's gonna do is it's just gonna allow us to access this everywhere, right? So now instead of saying, hey, if the engine has this singleton, right? Get this singleton, right? What we can do is we can just say get rid of all that, and then tab that back one. var h hello world is equal to hello, right? And there you go. So that just solves a lot of our little issues here. And while we're here, let's also go ahead and hook up our signal. Now, what we need to do to hook up the signal is we need to say, hey, let's connect that signal, right? So hello world dot connect. All right. Now we need to connect our signal name. So we need to find out what our signal name was. So what is our signal name? Well, if we go back to our application and we look at it, it was hello. It looks like, yes, it was hello. So connect hello with comma self with myself quote, and now we get to name it. So I always like to go on underscore hello. And now we can create a function called on underscore hello, like this. And we will say, hey, this is returning a string, correct? So you can see here, it's returning a string. So we're going to say S for string. We're going to say print S and pass. I like putting pass. I know you don't have to, but I like putting pass at the end of it. So now what we're saying is, hey, when that signal happens, go ahead and say, you know, connect this hello on hello. Did I spell hello wrong? Or am I just crazy? No, I'm just crazy. I guess that's not. Man, when you see hello by itself, it just looks so weird to me. All right. So now it's going to go ahead and print whatever our hello is. So we should see hello, this worked, right? But what we need to do is we now need to run our send signal function, right? So what we'll do is we will go to our button. Well, you know what? Actually, let's just do this. We'll go here and we'll say on button up. Let's go ahead and also do hello world dot send signal. All right. I don't know why I put a semicolon at the end of that. My C# days are getting to me. And you know what? We'll put this below so that way we get the prints in order. All right. So now if we go ahead and run this, it should I have a dot. Let's see, it should go ahead and print out hello world, and then it should print out hello, this worked. So let's go ahead and hit our Android icon and let's let that run through. All right, so now that it's on my Android device, what we can do is we can hit the button. So if I hit it, hello, this worked. You can see, hello, this worked. And the, where's the class? Oh, there it is, hello world. So you can see that it actually fully works. So that is the basics of how to create your own little Android plugin. Now you can use this to interface with anything that Android has. So that's all I have for you guys today. So we went through how to set up a Android project. We went through how to create a class, how to implement a Gradle plugin, how to implement some Gradle dependencies. We also talked about how to hook up a Android plugin inside of Godot, how to emit signals, and how to return data back from your Android plugin. So that's all I have for you guys. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you dislike this video, hit that dislike button, because I'm here to make content for you. Now, this video was a request from a viewer, so if you guys have any videos you guys want me to cover or anything you think would be interesting, go ahead and let me know in the comments as well. I'm always looking for more content to create for you guys. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Thanks.